Oh my gosh, I love the show, man. I
Oh, you do? Oh, that's
did
good.
all the episodes we got in a day. It's so much fun.
Oh, that's good. Thank you so much. Well, we're very excited. That makes me very happy.
What inspired the initial idea? Because having level one characters go up against the big boss monsters is hilarious, and it's not something I've ever seen before.
The reality is that we were trying to figure out a way for, as Beetle and Grimm's to expand our brand. We saw obviously a huge opportunity in streaming. I mean, everyone was doing it. Obviously, the success of Critical Role, the success of Glass Cannon Network, like there's, all these different companies are finding their way through. And we tried. We tried to do some streaming games. We just it's not how we consume Dungeons and Dragons, so it didn't feel authentic to us. And then we started talking about ways to do, like, what would we do? How would we want to do it? And this is what we landed on. For us, it's super funny. We are all performers. For the five of us went to acting school together, so the idea of doing it in front of a live audience really seemed to work for us. We liked the fact that it was funny. As we went through production, we found this, like, there's like a core of humanity and heart behind it, which we
Yeah.
didn't see coming in, that we found and really embraced towards the end of production. So, yeah, it's at the end, the short answer is, like, we were trying to grow the brand, and the longer answer is, that we just sort of fell in love with this thing and started to put it together.
Can you talk to me about the live audience? Because I've never seen that before. And then the way that they're actually able to have some effect on the show itself is very, very cool.
So yeah, so we every time you get in front of an audience as an actor, right, you're sort of, you come to life. And what happened is that we wanted to practice the show. We had this idea, we wanted to do it in front of an audience, and so, but we pitched the show to WotC and E1. We became partners on it, and we were going into pre-production. And going into pre-production, our thought was that we really had to test it. We had to test to see if, like, we were going to bring in 20 different casts, 20 different DMs to do shows. We had to make sure that the structure worked. So we put it in the laboratory, and the laboratory we put it in was in front of a live audience. We did the Guildhall in Burbank was the birth of sort of our live play. We did 8-week run or 6-week run at Guildhall. We started out playing, we passed out flyers, and the first night we got there, I think there was 8 people there to watch the show. The second week there was like 16 people, and the third week was like 25. And that fourth week, we had to move to the back to get more room. And the last week we did it was standing room only. And same thing with Scott Passarella. Scott Passarella is that musician that we found through mutual friends in the improv world, because we love the idea of having somebody that could accompany the live play. And so we brought Scott in, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll show up. I'll bring my keyboard and I'll play." And so, all the confluence of, like, ideas and opportunity came together in a really profound way, and made the show better, and has defined what Fast Perform Kill Kill is.
Yeah, I love the music. And then I feel like the casting process had to have been very fun, but also it feels like you have to have a certain mentality to go into a game knowing you're not going to win. Like, what was that process like?
Yeah, well, it's the great thing is that that's not true. Like, every single one of those characters goes into the game trying to win desperately. It's
Right.
not until the end that they find out that they fail. That was our point. Our point is, like, look, this is what heroes do. They look at the odds, and they become heroes. I mean, and that's sort of like when I speak about, like, what we found over the course of play is we found this real richness of humanity. It is what you do in these moments of tragedy that define what a hero becomes. And so, even though the show's funny and hilarious, and every show has a different tone, and it's a different adventure every time, the one thing that remains true is that when faced with ultimate demise, like what these characters do ends up being deeply emotional. And that's one of the great things about the show, right? In the casting process, we were very specific. We're like, hey, pick a character has a rich background, that you can hold on to. They have dreams that you can hold on to, that you will fight for, that you will go into battle for. Like the core of every one of our characters has this drive to be a hero that helps propel them forward and propel the story forward. And then play the game seriously. Like we weren't interested in like a comedy show. We wanted a Dungeons and Dragons show. That comedy was born out of these really high stakes. I mean, our casts, every single one of the players we have, from people that have played, a million hours to like a Skeet Ulrich who's never played in his life. I think that everyone was there with the right spirit and had fun. And that's what ends up, I think that the fun that people have translates onto the screen in a really great way.
I definitely agree. I was curious about that character creation process because you are a player in some of the games. Is it different for you than when you're creating a character that you're maybe playing in a longer term campaign?
Yes, 100%. I think I had to do like 8 characters out of 20. 20 episodes, yeah. So, for me, it's and I'm producing the show, and I'm trying to help. Every show, I'm trying to, even when I'm not working, I'm running on set a bunch of times and making sure the DM's ready. And we were doing 3 shows a day in 6 days. So was that right? No, 7 days. Anyways, yeah, it was a hard. At some point, I was like, just tell me what voice I should do and what class we need, and I'll just do that. So, but it was fun. I mean, look, it was awesome. I mean, each one of the shows is different, and so many times I just sat on stage and let the game happen around me and figured out how I could best fit into the flow of the game instead of leading the game. And a lot of times, like, I'll be what we call the engine. But I got to do everything. I got to be the engine. I got to be, sort of somebody that yes ands the party. So it was fun.
Very cool. I was curious about that too. Kind of what for you was maybe the most challenging or rewarding part of being a producer versus being part of the cast in the episodes.
Well, for me, I think for Beetle and Grimm's, our company, it's something that we're extremely proud of. If you can imagine, the idea, the act of quitting day jobs and starting your own company, finding success in that, having an idea for a TV show, pitching it out, practicing it in a bar situation where people are having a blast and you're directly feeling the response of people in that performance, and then completing the production of 20 episodes of television, is really something that we take a great amount of pride in, because it's hard to do, and it's not something most D&D companies do, right? And so that's one of the things that, as the 5 of us sort of, as our company continues to progress, I think this is going to be one of the things that we will forever, the rest of our lives will hold special and dear, because it's you have a dream and then you put it into effect that's really profound. Definitely, personally.
And then, did you have a favorite monster? Because I love that every episode.
It's a great question. I have, there's a game I played with Skeet, and we come face to face with a Solar, and Jared's performance in that episode is so incredible that, to me, that was one of the most exciting ones. There's something that happens in the episode that was like, oh no, it was the only time we stopped production and we had to reshoot something because we weren't sure if it was going to be PC enough. That's how sort of crazy it got. So I would say the Solar, and I think that's Everyone Dies in a Temple. And the names of the show are Everyone Dies in, like, Everyone Dies in the Skies, Everyone Dies in Space. These are all names of the shows, which is very fun.
Yeah, that's so great. If there's a season 2, which I really hope there is there
you and I both.
Yeah, is there any like Dreamcast members you'd like to bring in that weren't maybe available?
So one of the great things about the show, one of the things we're excited about, is the diversity of the amount of people we brought. I mean, we really made a concerted effort to deliver on diversity, to sort of represent the entire tapestry of the TTRPG community. We that we put a lot of effort into that. And I would like to continue down that road. The idea of doing a show with deaf players, the idea of doing a show with Down syndrome kids, the idea of doing a show with 10-year-old kids. I mean, for me, it's not about necessarily, the celebrities. That'd be great as well. But it's more about showing time and time again that this game can be played by anyone and there's no wrong way to play.
I love that. And then, so you guys shot all of this in 7 days, which is insane to me, by the way.
Yeah, it's crazy.
What did you learn throughout the process that kind of by the last day, maybe you felt like you had brought into the show that amped it up from the first episode?
Yeah. Well, that Red Bull works, that we should be sponsored by Red Bull. No, two things I think. It's like, one is a little esoteric, but the idea of like putting a dream into the world and sort of chasing it is really powerful, right? This idea of like, could we do a show and then a year later putting together 20 episodes? That was super powerful. So that's number one. And number two, the thing that we discovered throughout the process is that we thought we were making a comedy show, and we did. I mean, it's a little like Whose Line Is It Anyways meets Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know if I said that or not, but I think the thing we were surprised about is the amount of humanity that was discovered through it, right? The show is actually about the heroic things that people do in the face of death. And when you really reach into that, when you're playing a committed game and you have these moments of brilliant, heroic deeds, and then at the end of the game, we always have this thing called the epitaph. And this is one of the great things about Bill Rayor, who's he's the host of every game, and he's fantastic. One of the things he does is he allows for closure of every player. And it's amazing how many times those moments are filled with authentic, emotional heart, emotional sort of connection to what we just experienced in an hour. So that was the discovery of oh wow, it's funny and grounded in a way that's hopefully, that touches people, that it connects beyond just being a silly hour.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that ending because that was one of the things to me it kind of, to me, encapsulated the entire tone of the game, because you would have people that would do something very, very silly, and then you'd have something really heartfelt. And then one of my favorites was, I think the third person was very heartfelt, and then everyone else went, "Can we redo ours?"
Yeah, that's funny.
Because it is such a specific tone. So how do you make sure you hit the tone you want and tell a story in only an hour? Because most actual play shows are like minimum 2 hours.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of editing that goes in, which is great. I would say that our creative team was unparalleled. Our producers, Adam Ratty and John Platt and Tom Dannon. I mean, our whole crew is well versed in the world of gameplay, and our editors were amazing. So we would shoot. So each episode's 48 minutes plus commercials, and we would shoot about an hour 10 minutes. A lot of stuff got cut down, right? We would cut little pieces out, and I don't think there's a single show, having gone through the post-production and watched every episode 2-3 times, there's not a single piece of any show that you're missing. And they did a great job of sort of keeping that package really tight. And that's the one of the most, I think, surprising things technologically that I didn't understand. To be honest, I've been in this industry for 30 years. I didn't understand that story could withstand that the amount of cuts. And yeah, you don't ever miss it. So
very cool. Well, I'm really excited for more people to see it. I want more episodes.
You do? Wait, how many episodes you want? You only watched the one, right?
I watched 5.
Oh, you did? How did you get 5?
We got 5 screeners.
Oh, wow. I did not. That's amazing. We only give out 1. Oh, that's amazing. It's fun, right? It's super fun. Yeah. I mean, one of the things that we love is that every game is different. Every table is different. Every player is different. Every DM's different. And there's no wrong. It's sort of like this. It's a love letter to Dungeons and Dragons, which is the greatest way to spend a life, is around that table. And the love letter is like, hey, man, there's no wrong way to do this stuff. Keep trying to drive home on these interviews is that, listen, we want more. We want people to we believe in building content for communities. And so if our community, the RPG, TTRPG community, wants this kind of content, we've got to come out and support it. We've got to come out and support Heroes Feast, obviously Fast Perform, Kill, Encounter Party. Like all of these shows are being built for mass audience, and we need audience to come out or they just won't do it again. So our plea is that if this sounds interesting at all, find it, watch a couple episodes, and if you love it, tell someone.
Yeah, I will definitely tell everyone. I already have been telling people about it.
But God bless your face there in Beirut or wherever you are. It feels very 1984 dangerous. You look like you're in a street gang in a video game from 1984.
I'm actually in Burbank because I've gone to the bar you were talking about.
Oh yeah, Guildhall's awesome.
Thank you so much for talking to me.
Thank you.
I will talk about it again soon.